Fellow of the House, Sir Edward Lee.
What absolutely unites everybody in this place is absolute outrage at the treatment of Jimmy Lai, a British citizen whose only crime is to campaign for democracy and to ask the Chinese to obey the spirit and the letter of the agreement that we made with them solemnly before the 1997 takeover. Now, the Prime Minister, I saw the weekend, said he'd raised respectfully with the latest Chinese emperor the case of Jimmy Lai. Respectfully, doesn't the Prime Minister realise that the Chinese only accept strength, that everything is a deal? So why didn't he say to them, there'll be no Chinese embassy until you stop spying us in this House, that you give an absolute assurance to us on Diego Garcia, and above all, you free Jimmy Lai now?
Mr. Speaker, I raised the case of Jimmy Lai in terms with the President, as in fact I did, as he knows, at the G20 when I met the President for the first time, and we have updated the family in relation to the progress that we've made. But the position of the party opposite seems to be you should raise the case of Jimmy Lai by not going to China and raising the case of Jimmy Lai.
Tom Tugendhat.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You have been stalwart in standing with those of us who were sanctioned by the People's Republic of China all those years ago, and you've been very clear that we stand as one in this House. Do you not find it as surprising as I do that the Prime Minister has come back with a deal that lifts the sanctions on those 6 of us who are still in this House, but not the one who isn't, nor the lawyers, advisers and academics who support the work of this House? Is this not a direct affront to the democracy of this place, an attempt to divide and conquer that we've seen China play against the European Parliament and, sadly, has tricked our government too?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I thank you for raising this point. I know how much it matters personally to him and to the others that he referenced. I did raise it directly, and that got the response that restrictions do not apply to parliamentarians. I accept the challenge that we need to go. I accept the challenge, the points that we need to go further. That doesn't mean that what we've achieved should be put to one side. I accept that we must go further, and I'll work with colleagues across the House in order to do so. But in order to go further, we have to engage, and we have to engage at the leader level.
Prime Minister's position seems to be that if a bully is big enough, rich enough and powerful enough, the pragmatic thing to do is to pay into his protection racket. Can he at least show some sign of moral compass by accepting the fact that China is a repressive, brutal, communist, totalitarian state which dishonoured all the provisions of the Hong Kong Agreement?
Prime Minister.
Their position seems to be that if one has concerns in relation to China, their position seems to be the pragmatic thing to do is to buy a bag of sand and put your head in it. I don't think that's going to influence anything. Nothing said here has any influence if you don't have a meeting.
Alicia Keys.
When John Major went to Beijing, he spoke clearly and said, "We will not forget Tiananmen Square." In contrast, the Prime Minister refused to say Jimmy Lai's name himself until he was wheels up. I have never said we should not engage with Beijing. I have said we should not give them a propaganda visit. And it is extraordinary to abdicate the responsibility of the Chinese Communist Party, whose actions we had to respond to, and therefore pause trade talks, as if they have done nothing wrong. Finally, the Prime Minister met with Tai Chi, the man responsible for running 2 spies who are undermining this Parliament. He excluded that from his statement. Why doesn't he tell us why he thought it was acceptable to meet with this man and what exactly he got out of it in the British interest?
This is so pathetic. Honestly. At the highest level and one-to-one, I raised each of the issues of difference between our 2 countries. Each and every one of them in the way the House would have expected. And that is what they're criticising. They seem genuinely to believe, Mr. Speaker, that these issues can be progressed or influenced by doing nothing about it. You have to be in the room to have a discussion. That's what we did.
Jim Allister. Mr. Speaker, I certainly acknowledge the tariff easement in respect of Scottish whisky and its the apparently superior Bushmills whisky from my constituency. But could I ask the Prime Minister whether his visit will do anything to address the proliferation of heavily subsidised Chinese vehicles which are flooding our nation, particularly in the bus sector, where recently we now have 500 subsidised Chinese vehicles, courtesy of Transport for London, on the streets of our capital city, whereas in both Scotland and in my constituency we build the highest quality of buses. Will there be any action to support British buses as a result of what the Prime Minister is seeking to do?
Prime Minister.
I see we've opened a whisky competition, but he's quite right. It is really important that we champion the building of buses and so much else in the United Kingdom, where we've got great examples of that, and that's why we will always put the national interest first.
Dr Kieran Mullen.
Madam Deputy Speaker, the whole House can see with their own eyes what's happening here. The Prime Minister on paper has the support of more than 400 MPs. That they want to show their support that someone can fill every single seat on the opposite side and down to double doors. And we all drift away as the statement progresses. But even at the start of this statement, the Prime Minister didn't even have the authority to command 2 or 3 benches of MPs behind him. He's clearly on his way out. But the problem is, in his desperation to shore up his position, he's trading away our national interest. Can he name a single tangible benefit he secured in terms of the rights of Hong Kongers?
Prime Minister.
Yes, we raised the issues of Hong Kong. We raised the issues. I find it astonishing that their position is that they want all these issues. They say they take these issues seriously. They say of great concern. They stay here, notwithstanding no one else is listening, and raise them on the benches greatly. And then they say, it's so important to me, the one thing I don't want you to do is to go to China and have a discussion about them at the highest level. It's a pathetic approach, unserious approach to foreign policy.
Gregory Stafford.
Madam Deputy Speaker, the Prime Minister mentioned his previous meeting with the Chinese President in Brazil at COP. One day later, 45 pro-democracy Hong Kongers were sentenced. Uyghurs, Falun Gong, Tibetans, unregistered religious groups, human rights lawyers and pro-democracy campaigners, Hong Kongers in this country, Jimmy Lai. What single tangible difference has the Prime Minister made for their safety and security?
Mr. Speaker, of course there's concerns. They're aired in this House. The difference between us is our position is that the mature, serious thing to do is to have leader-to-leader discussions about them engaging the issue. Their approach is to shout about the issues, get a bag of sand and put your head in it and influence absolutely no one. It is so unserious. They're not fit for government for many, many, many years to come.
Dr Luke Evans.
It's widely reported in the media that the Prime Minister and his entourage had burner phones when they went across to China. Could he confirm this? And if it is confirmed, was the reason because he was worried he was being spied upon?
Prime Minister.
Madam Deputy Speaker, we took appropriate precautions, as we do whichever country we visit.
Charlie Dewhurst.
Madam Deputy Speaker, and further to that point, Russia has been able to triple its ballistic missile production because it has access to Chinese rocket fuel, it has access to Chinese machine tools, and it has access to Chinese microprocessors. In return, China is receiving vast quantities of discounted oil, gas, aluminium and other natural resources. China is quite literally fueling the war in Ukraine. So can I ask the Prime Minister once again, what specific guarantees did he receive from the Chinese government that they would work to de-escalate the conflict in Ukraine?
The reason I spoke to Volodymyr Zelensky was to have a discussion with him in advance as precisely the terms in which we would approach this issue. I then followed through on that, and I will talk to President Zelensky again in coming days about this. We're working hand in glove with the Ukrainians for the outcome that we all want, which is just and lasting peace.
Shannon.
Deputy Speaker, can I thank the Prime Minister for his statement, and I welcome the PM's successful trade missions to China and Japan. In particular, I'm heartened by the strides made in Japanese cooperation. However, I would like to ascertain what steps forward were made in terms of the Chinese treatment of Christians, of Uyghur Muslims, of Falun Gong and other religious minorities, and how the Prime Minister was able to use diplomatic soft power to bring about the changes required for to stop human rights or to provide human rights protection and to stop religious persecution and successful trade between the two nations. Thank you.
He's right to raise these really important issues, and that's why I raised them myself during the course of the visit, and I thank him.
And that concludes the statement. I'll give a few moments for the front benches to swap over.